What's up, guys? So, this past weekend, I found myself in a little bit of I wouldn't even say a debate because there was no debate that was able to happen because of one comment on Twitter. So, over the past weekend, I believe it was this past Friday, Dr. Jordan B. Peterson decided to block me on Twitter. Now, the reason I think that this is hilarious and just it's hilarious. This is so funny to me. Because this academic in question, I have many, many issues with. As somebody who has both studied and is now an instructor in the humanities, I have huge issues with some of the claims that he proposes in some of these YouTube lectures and on his podcasts. One being the Big Five personality test. Why do I have an issue with this? Well, the more I've looked into this Big Five personality test, the more I realize that it really is just surface level intellectual discussion about personality traits. It really doesn't go into depth about anything about the personality traits, which is something that the humanities is very much interested in. And I noticed that Jordan B. Peterson loves to criticize the work that is being done in the humanities. Don't worry, I will have another video on that and why I take issue with that as well, especially as somebody who teaches in the humanities. So, before I get into that, so I just want to point out the hypocrisy that is Jordan B. Peterson. He takes to his YouTube channel and likes to talk a lot of shit about people who have blocked him on Twitter when he wants to have a discourse with them. Well, I'm trying to have a discourse with you about your Big Five personality test, and I noticed that you blocked my ass on Twitter like a little biatch. So I decided to take to a different platform to examine some of the questions that I have about the Big Five personality test, as well as some of the potential problems with it, and some of the discussions that he fails to bring up in his lectures, which kind of signals to me as a fellow scholar that if you're not addressing the naysayer to your argument, that means that you don't have a sufficient response to the naysayer. It is highlighting that there is a huge flaw in the logic in your argument. And as somebody who's studied rhetoric extensively and now teaches it, I'm having a lot of issues with why nobody has really taken issue with some of these just very basic claims that he makes. So, over the past weekend, he was talking about the Big Five personality test on his Twitter, and I responded, "Your Big Five personality test is as accurate as a Cosmo quiz." I'm going to insert a picture of where I got blocked for this comment. I just think it's fucking hilarious. I really do. Like, that did it. That's the comment. What a baby. Okay. So before I get into some of the potential issues that I have with it, I want to explain what I'm doing here today. I already know that if I go over there and if I take issue with anything that Dr. Jordan B. Peterson is going to say, that I could potentially get inundated with a whole bunch of incel comments and criticism and attacking my character. So the way I look at it is, if you're going to listen to my argument and you're going to attempt to criticize the things that I have to say about Dr. Jordan B. Peterson on the basis of I'm just criticizing him. What I mean by that is that I notice that when anybody on Twitter raises a really valid point against something that Dr. Jordan B. Peterson is making, then his followers go into attack mode and start just really lambasting these people. And so if I'm going to have to deal with your comments, you're going to have to deal with me doing makeup. So let's have some fun. So the first thing to my makeup routine, for those of you who are here for that, is that I want to begin with, I have rosacea. I've had rosacea for 20 years. It is a chronic skin condition, meaning that I'm going to have it for the rest of my life. I was diagnosed when I was 21, 20, between there. I was really young for somebody to have rosacea. Like, even the dermatologist was like, wow, you're like 20 and you have it already. And for those of you who don't know, rosacea kind of looks like a a flush to the face and kind of like acne, but it's not. It's kind of like a bacteria underneath the skin. I know that sounds so gross, but it's an inflammation, and it's not contagious. It's not anything like that. It only impacts me, believe me. And you have to go and find the triggers that will result in an inflammation of the face. So sometimes I've had really bad reactions to like alcohol, certain spicy foods, excess of caffeine, overexposure to the sunlight, where my face will completely break out and I completely look flushed and it's just red. And if it gets really bad, it gets really itchy. And so I do this number and I have to avoid touching my face at all costs. So this is for those of you who have rosacea. And so the past few years, I've really kept it at bay without the help of topical medication or antibiotics, because I've had it so bad where I've been on antibiotics for like 3 to 4 months and they're a hot med and makes me miserable. Hot med meaning that if I'm taking it for a long period of time, I'm more susceptible to the sun. And the last time I had to take the antibiotic, the hot med, was when my husband and my daughter and I went to Santa Cruz. So the week before, I had a really bad rosacea outbreak to the point where I had to go to the doctor, where it was just completely red. It was burning. It just looked like zits all across my face, but they weren't. They were, kind of like pustule pockets, and they were like really burning and they were really hurting. And so I knew I was going to Santa Cruz. So I decided, to suck it up and go to my doctor to figure out if I could get like a topical medication, to help while I was in Santa Cruz, along with like SPF. I'll get to that in a sec. And my doctor was just like, this is really bad. So you're going to have to do the topical and you're going to have to combine that with antibiotics. And so she warned me the antibiotics is a hot med. We were leaving for Santa Cruz in July. So you got to imagine how miserable I was during like those 3 days. I mean, I was like piling sunblock all over me and I still burn. I just, so, after that experience, I really wanted to kind of avoid having to use medication and really made an effort to figure out strategies and, kind of routines that work for me having rosacea. And so I think I have found a pretty good routine, a really good face wash. I use like Purity. The most important thing that I have to say for anybody, if you have rosacea or not, sunscreen. Sunscreen, sunscreen, sunscreen. I put it on every single day. I don't care if it's storming outside. I don't care if it's dark outside. I don't care. It's just sunscreen. That is the saving grace for my face. It is the number one thing that I think has completely helped, is really providing that layer of protection on my skin, from the UV sun rays, especially as somebody who has rosacea. So, when I do my makeup, on the days that I decide to do my makeup, I really I kind of do a really quick wash on my face. I don't really scrub it. I don't do too much during the morning, because all the good stuff that I put on my face the night before, I just kind of let it just kind of do its thing, and I'm going to wash it all off at the, the end of the, the night, and then reapply it and then kind of let it sit and do its thing. So, sorry, excuse me. So, so during the day, like in the morning, I will wash my face real quick. And I mean, like, it's a really quick job. Like, it's like just water and just kind of real quick, and then I kind of pat it dry. I don't do this with a towel. Don't do that shit. Don't do that shit. Just be nice. Just be nice. Be nice to your skin. You only get one, okay? So I pat it dry and then I kind of let it like air dry for a sec. But while I'm doing that, I'm applying sunscreen. And for me, I like the CeraVe. I think, yeah. I'm going to go get it real quick. This is a really good sunscreen. I love the sunscreen. It's really, like it says, it's ultra lightweight. I noticed that it doesn't clog my pores. I don't get acne from it. It is really, really good. And so when I'm done washing my face, I go over there and I put this on. And I put it all over my face, put it on my décolletage, and I even put it on my ears. I put it everywhere. And I let it sit for 15 minutes. I let it just sit. I want it to do its thing. I want it to work. I want it to be, setting in place to block my skin so that way I don't have a outbreak. And so that is when I begin my eyes. And for that, I know a lot of people don't really like this anymore, and it's kind of like falling out of like, I don't know, popularity, but I love it. I mean, I really do. I have really discolored like eyelids and stuff, and I also tend to sweat a lot. And I noticed that like my eyeshadow would get like that crease right here, and it would annoy the shit out of me. But I noticed that if I use P. Louise on my eyelids, that it kind of sets and locks it all into place. My eyeshadow, my eyeliner, and everything. So I absolutely love it. But before I get into that, before I apply the P. Louise, I'm going to go in with like a setting spray. And I like to use it before I put on foundation or anything like that, because I notice that it really kind of helps to set and lock my skin, or lock the products in place. So plus I just feel like a bougie bitch. Okay, so just to kind of like speed up the process. Oh, my cleavage showing. I'm just gonna use my handy dandy fan. I love this thing. This thing is so great when you're doing your makeup, when you're trying to let things dry, when you're hot as shit laying in your bed during the summer because it's like hot as death outside. Oh wait, I shouldn't say where I live. It's hot as death on the West Coast where I live, but not saying because you guys are crazy. How's that? I just don't want to be like fighting hell where I live. I'm an introvert. I don't like people. Okay. Oh. Yay. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and put like a kind of like a pea size amount on my little makeup plate. I'm gonna go ahead and go in with the P. Louise. And I'm gonna go ahead and do it with my finger because I don't got no time for no tools. Oh wait, I got my sponge right here. So also keep napkins really close to me so that way, like, in case mistakes are made or excess makeup needs to be taken off. All right, so while I'm doing this, let me explain. So, according to Dr. Jordan B. Peterson, this big five personality test that he keeps trying to kind of pitch in his lectures, it only gives you the very basics of personality traits, like, agreeableness, disagreeableness, caring for other people, not caring very much about other people, these very, very basic traits that people have. So, and he kind of tries to elevate the status of this test as kind of being able to tell us like the reasons why people act the way that they do. Or it's not even that people act the way that they do because of biological tendencies, but what it kind of suggests is that, well, men and women have certain traits that are displayed, and that women tend to be more agreeable, men are more disagreeable. This is why they fall into the job, the careers that they choose. This is why they make certain life choices, and it's because of these traits, and then that's it. The problem I have with this is that, yeah, I can understand why this personality trait test, the big five, um, can tell more often employers a little bit about the people that they are hiring. They can give you kind of like a very, very rudimentary basic understanding of certain human traits, such as agreeableness and disagreeableness, which he always, creates the argument that men are more disagreeable and women are agreeable. This is why they don't rise to the top in their careers and don't have those CEO positions. It's just because they are agreeable. And then that becomes like the logic that people are using. Well, men and women are just this way, so therefore, it's just the way things are. That's not a good enough fucking answer for me. especially as somebody, whoa, especially as somebody who has spent their career studying these issues, studying these questions, you know? And the one thing that I really get upset about is that, the explanation that Dr. Jordan Peterson gives about the humanities. Um, it really highlights how little he understands the work that is emerging from the humanities. Um, the social sciences, which is where his discipline resides, being a psychologist, tends to try to seek out truths with the capital T, meaning these absolutes, right? People act this way because. The problem with that is, and I'm going to get to why I have a problem with the Big Five personality test, is that it really doesn't address the complexities and the nuances and the kind of human experiences that kind of result in these traits coming out in us. Like, what happened? How were we conditioned? How were we trained to have these traits? And that gets me to the problem I have with the Big Five personality test. So, but before I get to that, I just want to make sure that, the base of my eyeshadow is kind of like set. Everything's looking pretty good. Because now I'm going to go in with my, my eyeshadow base color. Oh my goodness, which one do I? You know what? I want to play with this one. This is the Natasha Denona palette. I freaking love these eyeshadows. They just blend like a fucking dream. I love them. I love them. So I think that this is the color I want to work with today. So I'm going to go ahead and go in with this kind of camel color. I kind of like it. I kind of like it a lot. So dust off this excess. And one thing I have to say while I'm doing this, the one thing that drives me insane when I see people's eyeshadow, blend your shit out. Blend it. Act like you got time just to sit here. And plus, I have to say, this is like the most relaxing part, is just sitting here just like, what? Blend that into the crease. I'm probably like irritating makeup artists because of how close I'm like holding my makeup brush, especially like my kind of blending brush. It's like too close. I know you're supposed to hold it like this, but okay, I will try because I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. So I'm going to go ahead and blend this color out, in my crease, give it some depth before I put in this darker shade. But while I'm doing that, I'm going to go ahead and explain why I have issues with the Big Five personality test. Now, I noticed that when he's talking about the Big Five personality traits, that it really doesn't ever get to the more complex human emotions, such as like altruism, empathy, the very, very complex emotions that humans have, that we experience throughout our lives. Not only that, do I have issues with this, but I also take issue with the test never explains why we have these traits, which to me is the more interesting question. It's the question that I notice that Dr. Peterson dodges time and time again, is taking the next step, taking this data, taking this information that, he compiled during his research and taking it to the next step, which is, why do we have these traits? How did we acquire these traits? How have they been fostered and conditioned within society? Do these traits, meaning men are going to test for disagreeableness in, the US, is that going to be the same if you applied that Big Five personality test to, I don't know, say in India? Which takes me to the issues with this Big Five personality test. So I noticed that in his lecture, he never really addresses his naysayers, the people who are going to take issue with his argument and raise some questions about his findings, And as somebody who studies research methodologies, and I have spent, a fair amount of time really examining, different research strategies across the university, it really disappoints me as a fellow scholar how he dodges it. Because does anybody else have like one eye that is just easier than the other? This is my harder eye for some reason. I don't know why. I don't know why. And so that takes me to some of the issues with his study, because he really likes to build arguments on, well, this is how women and men are. Women are more agreeable, men are disagreeable. This is just how society is. It really is an uninteresting conversation. However, I did come across findings where the Big Five personality test, for example, I can't remember the country, I believe it was India. And, these people who were, coming over to Canada and the United States were initially given this Big Five personality test before they came over. And so when they were in their mother country, they noticed that the traits really reflected the values of the culture that they were within. So in other countries, more emphasis is placed on the community and placed on, our responsibilities to the community and helping the community and very much working together. And so they found that these men were testing and having more feminine traits, I guess, more agreeable, more thinking of the community-based thinking rather than individual thinking, not really as competitive because they were very much community mindset and community driven. But when they came over and spent a couple years in, say, Canada or the US, and they retook the test, the traits changed to reflect the values in our society, the society that we're in the United States, for example. And so they started having the same traits that you would see with like native born men in the United States or in Canada. And to me, that highlights a lot of interesting questions, such as, well, that really reveals or highlights, and raises this question, well, if traits aren't static and stable, what in society is conditioning us to have these traits? What pressures are we under? What are these influences? What happens? And that's the more interesting question for me. I'm going to go ahead and go in. So I'm going to go ahead and, kind of like go in like with a darker, kind of like more defining color. And I'm going to go in with this kind of brownish, yeah, this like deep brown color. Oh, shit. Okay. So to me, the more interesting question becomes, well, what about these traits? Like, if they're not static and stable, what's going on in society that's changing people to adapt to the community that they are within? And if people can adapt to their community, well, can't the community adapt as well? To kind of abandon or change its mindset toward people who don't exactly fit into these molds. So these limitations to his Big Five, arguments really raises some more interesting questions, such as, well, what are the conditions for, these traits to be fostered? Is it fostered more in one group as opposed to another, such as women being agreeable? Now, the reason why I say that is because I remember growing up and I don't even want to say when because I'm so middle-aged now. Um, I remember when I was growing up, girls in particular were really, stressed to not be physical. Don't be physical toward each other. Don't slap each other. Don't do that shit. Don't punch each other. Don't pull each other's hair. Don't do any of that. You need to use your words and you need to talk it out and you guys need to work together. And so I remember as a kid, like that was very much fostered, especially as a girl to like really like, work together, don't fight, don't be physical. Whereas like my male cousins were very much like emphasized to, go duke it out, go be boys, go do boy things. Luckily for me, and anybody who went to school with me knows this, I was not a typical girl. It took me years to learn to use my words because I grew up with primarily a lot of male cousins. So I was very much influenced by them. I was influenced by their competitiveness, their independence. I used to run around and play with them all the time. Anybody who went to elementary school with me knows that. You remember me running around with your crazy asses. And I was very much always walking the line between like being a girly girl, but also very much tomboy-ish. So I was like very much walking both spheres, so to speak. And that really helped me as I got older. Because of this like early childhood experiences, and I was really lucky that these, how I was feeling in this independence and competitiveness and, I was not agreeable. As a kid, I am still not agreeable. I took that Big Five personality test and I'm a walking contradiction according to that test. It is the most hilarious thing. So when I see this study being pitched as like a really good baseline for understanding people, I wanted to pass the smell test. I want to see how much it can hold up and just the problems with it, such as like, people who are from different countries, migrating over to a new country and their personalities adapting for that community. To me, that the more interesting questions reside there because it really demonstrates how much the community influences how we construct ourselves, how we construct identity, and how those identities come forward. And I don't think that Dr. Peterson has good enough explanations for the potential counter arguments to this study. So I have a lot of questions. And unfortunately, I know that Dr. Peterson isn't going to respond and answer because he blocked me on Twitter. That is so fucking funny, though. It really kind of is. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and, leave my eyeshadow. I kind of like where it's at right now. I'm not going for like a total crazy look today. I'm going to go ahead and put on my eyebrows. And for my eyebrows, I have been really loving this pomade by Benefit. And I've also been using Grand Lash Serum, the eyebrow one. And as somebody who really doesn't have very much eyebrows, as you can tell. But this is so much more than I had 3 months ago. Because I've been using that Grand Lash and I went from, when I would pluck my eyebrows before I was using that, over here, especially, if I pluck one wrong fucking hair, half my eyebrow's gone. It's gone. But then I used that serum and then I was like, oh, I can actually pluck hairs here and not have to worry about half my eyebrow going missing. So, awesome. I love that stuff. So, I'm going to go ahead and put on my brows. And just, I guess while I'm putting on my brows, I really want to kind of take a minute and talk about like, I think it's kind of funny to hear somebody like Dr. Jordan Peterson, making his way and making his rounds to like these really prestigious colleges like Cambridge and Harvard and talking to these, really prestigious academics, people. I mean, like, I respect these institutions. I respect, the scholars in their fields, I really do. Well, some of them. Some of you guys I have some issues with. Some big issues with. Looking at you, Stephen Hicks. Anyways, back to what I was saying. I'm just a little bit kind of confused as to why these questions about his academic discussions haven't been raised sooner. Because these are extremely important questions that should be posed to somebody who is putting forth this argument. And I don't know why. Is it because, I mean, let's face it, he has an insane following. He has, what is it, like 4 million followers. He has a group of individuals who hang on to his absolute and every word, and hang on to it. I have seen people that I personally know who have bought into what he says and really take it personal if you try to raise these questions to them about, his research. It's like, it's as though it's taken extremely personal. Like, it's so ridiculous. It's like the elevation of this man is absolutely insane to me, because nobody, no scholar, no academic should be put on a pedestal like that. And to me, the value lies in the ideas. Can the ideas hold up? Just because there's some flaws in your logic and your ideas doesn't mean that you don't have the start of something very interesting and something very, the potential to, shift the conversation. But you got to embrace the naysayers. You have to embrace the people who are going to raise the questions about your logic. And that shouldn't be perceived as a threat. But I guess if you're hella insecure, I get it. If you really, pitching smoke and mirrors to people and you're scared that your idea might not hold up, I mean, yeah, go into attack mode or block them, cool. So I'm going to go ahead and finish up my eyebrows with the Gimme Brow by Benefit. And then I'm going to go ahead and go in with also the 24 Brow Setter by Benefit too. I got this kit at Ulta over Christmas, and oh my god, it just makes my eyebrows doing my eyebrows so much easier. So I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of fill in just a little bit, just kind of giving it that feathery look. So, oh my gosh, my cat is so emotionally dependent on me that she is just like got her paw under the door like, mother, let me in. Yes, I'm coming. Come on, baby. I know, you're so mad. I know. There you go, mamas. Come on, baby. She's way, yeah, kitty interruption. This is usually our routine. She watches me do my makeup and I talk to her and I tell her what a pretty princess she is. Oh, my little diva. Okay, bye. Okay, so now I'm gonna go ahead and set my brows down. Wait. I did the other one, right? Okay. I don't know what that's like, hammering at my neighbors or the kids playing outside. Oh, no, that sounds like hammering. Okay. So now I'm going to go ahead and go in, and I am going to, I don't know if it's the lighting, but to me this side looks a little bit darker, so I'm going to go in, feather it out. Okay, there we go. And now I'm going to go ahead and go in and set my brows. Now that my eyes are almost done, I get to the hardest part, putting on the eyeliner and then praying that my wings look like sisters instead of second cousins. So, don't mind me, this might take a minute. Oh wait, yeah. So you're probably not going to see me talking too much during that part when I'm putting on my liner, because I gotta concentrate. Like I said, sisters, not second cousins. Let's do this. So, I think for my wing, I just got this in the mail. It's the, oh my gosh, am I doing it right? There it is. It's the Ofra liquid liner. That tip is so fine. I love it. So yeah, I'm not gonna be talking. This is gonna be like sped up. Okay, so it's good for right now. I mean, okay, so they're kind of half sisters, but at least they're not third cousins twice removed. So we're good. Okay. So, as you guys know, I let my sunscreen just go ahead and sit and kind of do its thing. Now I'm actually going to go in and I'm going to kind of use some concealer. I don't use too much foundation lately. I noticed my skin really hasn't needed it. So I don't want to have a bunch of product on my face, especially like, I kind of want my skin to be able to breathe, kind of do its own thing. So I just tend to now just put like a little bit of concealer, especially under my eyes, or like just like areas that just need a little bit more help. So I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of them dark bags under my eyes and kind of clean up where any mistakes were made, like with my eyeshadow, like anything. So if it's like really bad, if I'm like doing like a smoky eye look, you won't see me put on anything, and pretty much my face will be completely blank because I usually have to like really like clean up after that. But for just every day, I just kind of put a little concealer under my eyes just to kind of get rid of the bags and just kind of, kind of brighten it up, So I just get really disheartened when I see somebody who is, a really popular, academic in the public sphere, really kind of going against the foundations of academia. One of them being is, first, don't be so threatened when people have questions about your argument. It's not a competition. Anybody who knows rhetoric and understands that there is a common public misconception about what an argument entails. And a lot of the times people think arguments are like kind of like the fucking hot mess that you see on Facebook, where people are just kind of talking shit and talking over each other, not really like reading each other's comments. There's these ad hominem attacks, people going to, I've seen arguments where people have gone back and forth to one another's profile and really talk shit about each other, about their kids and their family and their it's madness. But when you have an academic like Jordan Peterson really saying that, writing can enable you to destroy, your opponent, to me, that really demonstrates the lack of understanding of what we do in academia. And especially when somebody who teaches writing, because I'm teaching students to not just write in the English department, I'm teaching students to write across the university. I'm teaching these students to how to enter and navigate these very complicated discussions occurring within their discourses. So for somebody as popular as Jordan Peterson to really create this misconception about what we do in academia is unsettling, annoying, and really makes me question his own understanding of the work we are supposed to be doing in academia. And I'm not only seeing it demonstrated online, the reason why I'm kind of like starting to take to a platform is because I'm starting to see this enter my classroom. And not just my classroom, but also my personal life. People who really admire Jordan Peterson that I've known personally, that have really taken offense to my questions that I've had about Dr. Jordan B. Peterson. And not only that, but like just I have just seen on Twitter like attack after attack of people who do raise some really interesting questions, and the level that these fans will go to destroy these opponents, to Dr. Jordan Peterson is just really, I don't know. I'm just speculating, but I kind of just feel like Dr. Peterson hides behind his fan base and really like doesn't have a leg to stand on when it comes to like having to defend these ideas, like on a bigger scale of, having to, let's just say that I don't think, oh, I'm sorry. So now I'm going to go ahead and set my face, and I'm going to go ahead and use the It Cosmetics Celebration Foundation. I really love this stuff. It's really agrees with my skin, and really does a good job, covering up my imperfections and, protecting my skin, but not being overly heavy. Okay. So now that I got that done, I'm going to go ahead and go in with my mascara. Before getting that, I am going to get my eyelash curler. I've also been using that Grand Lash on my eyelashes and noticed a huge difference, like in the length of my eyelashes. I don't really have the longest or thickest eyelashes, and I kind of feel like ever since I've been using it, it's like added like, more volume, more length especially. So I'm going to go ahead and go in with the Bad Gal Bang mascara just to make my eyelashes just pop. So I'm really wondering, can these ideas of his stand up? And I guess my final question is, what is he so afraid of that he can't respond? And I know that there have been many, many scholars, many prominent scholars in their fields like P.Z. Myers, who's I think it's an evolutionary biologist, has really raised a lot of questions about his inclusion of his lobster theory, about social hierarchies and stuff. I know that P.Z. Myers has really raised a lot of questions and has taken to his platform, his YouTube, to really, dispel some of these ideas. And unfortunately, not enough people have went and checked it out, which if you haven't and you have some time, I would really suggest. This is a person who's an expert in their field. And as I always say, if you don't know, go check out what the experts are saying in their fields and then deduce what it is about those conversations that you agree, disagree with, or kind of a mixture of both. Pretty much enter the conversation. So instead of just hearing it from Jordan Peterson, I really encourage you guys to go enter, this discussion and what these, scholars and, specialists in their field of evolutionary biology are saying about Dr. Jordan Peterson's argument, and see if his ideas can hold up. Which takes me to the other scholar that I, really would be interested in seeing, Dr. Peterson have a discussion with, which is Richard Wolff, in his discussion of Marxism. And I know that Wolff has challenged him to a debate, and Peterson has yet to respond. And if you also haven't checked it out, I would definitely check out Slavoj Žižek's discussion with Dr. Peterson. I thought that was really interesting, and especially, I think it was like the Q&A after with Žižek, where, he raises a lot of interesting questions, especially about like women's roles. One of the really interesting questions that he raised is, we we criticize, or we raise a lot of questions about a woman's ability to be a leader of like a company or like a country, but yet we give them the power of having control over the home. So why can women have like, that is exert that control over the domestic sphere, which is like the foundation of society, apparently. I think with Peterson, why do women have control over that? But like beyond that, like, their leadership is called into question. And so I think that Žižek really raised a lot of very interesting questions in regards to that. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and go in with some bronzer because I just want to warm my skin up, give it some dimension. Especially, being Ponca and Lakota, I got to go highlight those cheekbones. So I would be really interested to see how he can respond to those naysayers. How would he respond? Because I have to say that I don't really hear him responding. I hear him saying things like, well, that's stupid, or, kind of like, that's dumb to think that, or, really talking down about these ideas or these questions that somebody is raising. But he doesn't take the step to respond to them. He doesn't take the step to go, well, these are the issues that they raise in regards to my argument, and here's, me summarizing them, but here's me responding to why that might not be correct or accurate. So instead, we just have to deal with the text. I'm going to go in with Bare Minerals Blush. I love this blush. And it's in that peach, though. Oh, I love this color. This is I've already hit pan. This is my second one that I've hit pan on. So I love this. I love this blush. All right. So now I've got my blush on. And last thing I'm going to do, one of the last things I'm going to do is kind of like, really enhance those features. So I like to go in with this like nude eyeliner brush by Essence, and I like to go into my waterline because I really think it makes the my eyes pop. I don't know. I just think it makes my eyes look a lot bigger. So now, almost done. Go ahead and kind of like, what I like to do is I like to look in the light, and I like to see where it's hitting, like the light hits. And then I go in with my highlighter, and this is Jaclyn Cosmetics in Iced. And again, this is another one that I ended up having to go get the larger because I got this. I got the Iced in a quad palette, and as you can see, I totally hit pan on the Iced one. I love this color. It's great. It's kind of like one of my like holy grail like highlighting colors. I love it. So now I gotta find my highlighting brush. Oh no, where is it? Oh, there it is. So, I'm gonna go ahead and go in with my Morphe brush, and I am going to go into Jaclyn Cosmetics Iced, and I'm just going to kind of like gently tap excess, and then I see where the light's hitting, and then just kind of add that to my cheekbones, to the inner corner of my eye, to my nose. Cupid's bow. She's so emotionally dependent on me. It's unreal. I mean, people say that, like, you know, cats are like whatevs with their owners. No. No. This girl. It's my baby. Alright. So now I'm pretty much done. My final step is going in with the MAC Fix Plus. One more time. I think when I first sprayed it, the initial spray went that way, not this way. Okay. So I think some of my final thoughts about Dr. Jordan Peterson and about this whole Big Five personality test and why I got banned. I got blocked on Twitter by him. I think it's hilarious. I think that one tweet is really highlights how kind of thin-skinned he really is underneath it all. Because I have not really seen him respond to any of the naysayers or anybody who has proposed the limitations to his Big Five personality test. So I guess we're all waiting to see if you're going to have, like, I don't know, a good answer. But until then, I'm going to stand by my shit, Peterson. Your Big Five personality test is as accurate as a Cosmo quiz. And on that note, let me end this video or finish up with my lips. And I think, you know what? I think it's only appropriate, and I know this is going to go over a number of Peterson's fans' heads, but you know what, Evs? I do think it is appropriate. Where is it? Where are you? Where'd you go? There it is. So, I need to order more because I know this color is going, and it makes me so incredibly sad. So I think it's only appropriate that I kind of end this makeup look with one of my favorite lip colors by KVD Beauty, which is Plath. For those of you guys who don't know who that is, Sylvia Plath. She was a poet and a poet way ahead of her time. Yeah, I just saw this on Sephora and it's on sale, and I know it's not coming back, and it makes me so sad. Like, I love this color. In fact, I'm gonna have to order some more. So yeah. All right, so this is the end result. So I hope you kind of enjoy my ramblings and a lot of the questions that I have for Dr. Jordan B. Peterson. Or at least, hopefully you stuck around and then at least now you know why I got blocked by him on Twitter. Oh, that's so funny. All right, so that's it, you guys. See you later. Bye.